Hi, startup enthusiast and fellow entrepreneurs and founder across the world. My name is Varun, and I am the host for the startup show presented by Ampliz. And in this show, we are going to learn, experience, and listen to a lot of creative innovation startup stories in this series, which is India's first podcasting series for startup founders. Moreover, what we are here to share you the stories of startup founders and entrepreneurs who actually did a lot of real hard work behind the big success strategies that made them to grow eventually to $1 million company. Heard about stories that have made them raise around 100 million or 200 million or a unicorn company, but what strategies they worked on or what challenges they faced, what were the failed strategies they worked on to get to the growth stage, or what metrics they really analyzed, or how did they attain the product market fit. There are a million questions in my mind right now, and so as yours. So that's why we are hosting this podcasting series to make sure that we are all on the same page. And when you start a startup, what are the perks you have to consider, or what are the things you should learn from this experience? So on today's show, we have a very special guest, David Williams, here with us to talk about his startup, which is called Nomad X. And if you want, and he's basically from Portugal, Lisbon, and he has more than 20 years of experience. And 20 years of experience has taught him a lot of new things in his life, which also made him to be a person with a lot of skills, a lot of expertise, a lot of experience. So, and we are here to talk to him about his startup, which is called Nomad X, which is a lifestyle business for digital nomads, offering affordable housing, trusted community, and educational programs. So they are preparing for their V1 launch, and there are a lot of new things they want to share with us. And he didn't say no at all. Just had to reach out to him and just asked him, "Would you like to share your story?" And he was like, "Yes, I'm in." And here he is on the show. Welcome, Dave. Thank you so much for joining this podcast.
Hey, Varun, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Really good. Thank you for asking. And thank you so much for joining this podcasting. So this podcasting series, like I mentioned, this is where you share your experience and learnings and all the challenges what you faced while you were developing your own startup. So my first question goes very direct. Why Nomad X? What was the story behind Nomad X, and what problem it solves? And what exactly is NomadX?
Sure thing. Yeah, well, my wife and I, we've been digital nomads now since 2013.
Okay.
Traveling the world, we spent about a year on the road, and then we came home. This was actually following an exit we had back in
Okay.
2012. So we had the opportunity to do a bunch of traveling, and we traveled the world for about 4 or 5 years. And
Wow.
along those travels, we met some digital nomads, and we just saw the challenges that they were facing in terms of finding housing, because most of them were stuck having to stay in short-term AirBNBs or booking.coms or VRBOs, or not sure what you guys have there in India, but it's basically
Same
paying a
thing.
short-term, yeah, you're basically just paying a short-term rental rate over a longer period of time, because mostly the nomads are coming to stay for at least a month or 2 months. We typically see they'll stay for about 3 months on average. So
Yeah.
trying to find a place to stay for 3 months is very, very difficult, because you either
Yes.
have to make a long-term commitment or you're making this short-term commitment and you're paying way more than you need to. So that was really the kind of what started the idea, was that, okay, there's a movement around digital nomadism. We're seeing it pick up quite a bit. There's not good
Okay.
places for them to stay. And then they're also lacking community as well. So a part of our model is not just about the housing, but we're wrapping community and also
Yeah.
educational programs around it as well. So that's,
Yeah.
we launched it in Portugal, which is a top digital nomad location globally, probably like the #1 location in all of Europe, in Lisbon. And we have locations all throughout Portugal at the moment. We're getting ready to expand to Bali in March. So we're just beginning our expansion efforts.
Wow, wonderful. So, what was the process when you started off with Digital Nomad X? Like, is it the part of like you mentioned, like when you were traveling, you find it very difficult to find places to stay for more than 3 months, or maybe a month. So, what were the first steps you took to create this Nomad X into something real, into a creative startup? What were the steps you took?
Yeah. So with this one, it was a very slow starting process. I started the company with a couple younger entrepreneurs, and the first month we decided, or over the first summer, because the guys were actually still in college when we started the company. So we decided we were going to do we're going to rent some Airbnbs and we're going to rent out the rooms in the Airbnbs. So more of like a co-living concept,
Yeah.
but also more like group travel, because I think we had like 20 people come in and visit with us during the month of
Okay.
August, staying
Yes.
in Airbnbs in Portugal.
Yeah.
That was really nice. But after we finished the summer, we're like, wow, we don't want to do this model. And there's already companies doing it. So you have companies like Remote Year, a company called Unsettled, Hacker Paradise. And we thought like, okay, maybe that's not the right niche for us.
Yeah.
One of the partners dropped out because he kind of tapped out, I guess. It was just too much for him. He had some other ideas, what he was
Those
up
are
to.
exactly the challenges when you face when you work with a startup idea, or come up with the new ideas.
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I mean, it's always the team changes over time. So it was really, there were two, myself and then the other business partner remained. And then the next year we decided, let's focus the business on the technology. Let's focus on building a housing platform. So we started the development work. This was back in like April of 2018. We really started April, May 2018 that we started the development work.
Okay.
It wasn't until maybe the end of the summer that we really had like a product that was like decent. It wasn't quite where we wanted it to be. And then it's really been since then, I'd say within the last year, we've really evolved the product quite a bit. So we've been evolving it based on the feedback we've been hearing from the customers. And so, yeah, it's been kind of
So
an evolutionary process.
yeah, so as we were discussing, so since when did Nomad X started off? Was it 2016 or 2017?
2017 is when we first started the company.
Okay.
Really wasn't until 2018 that we really got started, though. I'd say like the summer of 2018 was really when the company kind of shifted gears. We started getting some technology people in place.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone in the company was outsourced, so we're just
Yeah.
using contractors and consultants to get started with. We had a regional development team that lasted a couple months. We ended up shifting teams, so we made a shift during that summer to another team, some guys that I was friends with, an American technologist who moved to Mexico City. So we're working with a guy, his
Okay.
name's Obi Fernandez,
Yeah.
and he works out in Mexico City, but he's more of a U.S. entrepreneur. So he was helping us a lot on the development work as we were starting to scale. And then eventually we actually brought on board a couple of the developers that worked at his firm, joined us more full time. They got kind of enamored with the project. And
So
so that
it's like
worked out.
working across the world from right now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, the business is really, we're a global business. We have people that are in Mexico City. We have people in Lisbon. We have people in France. I'm in Austria at the moment. My business partner's in Bali. So we're all over the
It's
place.
spread everywhere. I think you should visit India once.
Yeah, that's on the hit list. I want to come over there for a wedding though. So it's,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a big thing in India, so I think it would be a perfectly very great thing to watch,
yeah, I'm
enjoy.
excited to come to India. I haven't been to India yet, but I've visited probably over 50 countries around the world. So,
That's
but yeah,
wonderful.
I've been in the digital space now for over 20 years. I started my first company back in 1998, which was a search engine
Oh,
marketing
yeah.
company. We sold that one in 2005. And then I started another company in the social media ad space.
Yeah.
We were one of the early partners with Facebook, and then we sold that in 2012. So I've just been a kind of a startup entrepreneur, more bootstrapped, but just
Yeah.
kind of starting companies and then organically growing the businesses and then attracting people that are interested in these early
Yeah.
industries. So we kind of got in early on search and early on social. Now we feel like we're really early. We may be too early, but we're really early in the digital nomad
since
movement.
since I think there are a lot of questions in my mind from 1998. That's when you started off your first startup, right? So since then to today, I have a lot of questions. So I just want to just ask a few questions about Nomad X. It's like from this Nomad X, what benefit do I get as a digital nomad comparing to all the other competitors or all the other entities which is already existing right now? So what are the biggest advantage I'm going to get through this community, and what are the features you're planning to create based on the user experience or user's perspective?
Yeah. Well, for us, it's really all about affordability.
Yeah.
The nomads generally are minimalists. They're traveling the world. They don't want to spend too much money if they don't have to, especially on housing. So we found is that we're able to get the Airbnbs, we get a lot of listings that are typically listed in Airbnb on our NomadX platform. But since we're renting them over the midterm period, we're typically seeing on average about 50% less than an Airbnb. So, someone that's coming to Lisbon who's might be spending a couple thousand a month on Airbnb, we can generally get them that same listing for like 1,000. So it's like the affordability is huge. And then also when they rent with NomadX, they're becoming part of a community as well. So they can tap into like going to events with us. We put on parties, we have like dinner parties. So if someone wants to be involved in that, they can involve themselves. There's no extra cost at all. So it's just like someone arrives in a city and you don't have any friends. It's a nice way to kind of have a soft landing into a new city. You meet other digital people that are pretty cool. And the next thing you know, you've got a whole community of friends instead of just being there in an Airbnb by yourself.
Exactly. But I think there is something similar, or not might be similar, but something has caught my attention was couch surfing.
Right. Yeah, couch surfing is very good. The issue with couch surfing is generally it's just for 3 days.
Yeah.
So when you're staying in someone's couch, or maybe you're staying in their bedroom, or now it's maybe more of a hookup platform than anything. But ours is kind of like a couch surfing. It's almost like Airbnb meets couch surfing, but for professionals.
Yes, professionals, exactly. So what are the first version features which is going to come up right now?
I mean, at the moment, we actually have like all the front end of the system done. The biggest thing for us was actually getting inventory on the platform. So right now we've got over 1,000 listings. They're all verified across Portugal. We're getting ready to expand into Bali, and then we're going to come back and expand into Spain next, and then Thailand, and then multiple other markets. But really just having it very simple for the hosts can load up their properties very easily. So if they have a bedroom they want to rent at their house, if they have a private apartment they're looking to rent, or if they have a co-living space, just setting it up so it's very simple for them to onboard their listings. And then through there, we're promoting the listings, trying to drive in more digital nomads to make the rentals. But for us, it's like simple things like verification. Like we just launched some verification pieces today, payments. We actually haven't had payments on the platform yet. We've just been focused on really just kind of building the audience, making the connections, but payments will be released in the next month. So the platform's scaling, quite a bit. We've had like over 4,000 people register on the website. So it's going really well. I think it's something that's really missing right now in the Nomad community, something like this. So we feel like we're off to a good start.
So this is the point wherein you're going to connect all the dots together and leverage it up.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got kind of the front end finished. We're finishing off the back end. We're going to be launching, with a lot more kind of enhancements as we go forward.
I actually loved it. So and even I would also encourage, if you want to build this startup also, you can take you can utilize the community itself to help you build this startup into real time, leveraging out the nomads, whoever are traveling, like front-end developer, back-end developer, marketers, growth consultants, everyone together. So that will be something really a good creative concept. Just I'm saying from my perspective, I don't know, like maybe it might work as well, or they can also get a lot of clients through this platforms as well in the coming future features.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we've definitely seen that. There's been we've had nomads that kind of come on the project and left the project. Generally, we've seen a lot of the nomads, they're kind of on this independent journey, and sometimes being a part of a startup isn't the best match because it requires so much work, when you want to be out playing or sipping drinks on the beach, and then you're having to code for long days. But yeah, we want everyone ideally to be a digital nomad as part of the business. And the people that are part of our company, we encourage them to be digital nomads, and we actually will pay for their housing when they stay in our platform. So we incentivize them to actually, we call it, eating your own dog food is what they used to call it back in the day. But so kind of use the product that we created ourselves. And so we've gotten some interesting feedback just based on that alone. But yeah, it's exciting. I think all the developers seem to be pretty excited about it at the moment because they recognize the opportunity for themselves,
Exactly. So just to add on, like when you spoke about the inventory, like you had to initially first start up with the inventory. So what was the biggest challenge when you were dealing? Because since you have to expand it globally, so you have to look around and you have to just spread this NomadX across the globe. So what were the biggest challenge when you were dealing such inventory problems, or what were the biggest challenge when you were working on this project?
Yeah, well, I think it's difficult when you're starting the project because you're trying to encourage people to put their listings on your website, but you don't have any inventory, you don't have any customers. So it's like, it's kind of, how do you go about doing that? So I think in the early stages, just getting some of those initial listings on the website was good. Then some of the issues that we ran into is that since we're building this marketplace, which is kind of complicated because we're not actually the one selling the product, was actually having the host respond to the guests, because we started getting a lot of requests coming in, but then the hosts weren't necessarily coming back to our platform, or there might have been an issue with the receipt of the email, or it was going to a spam. So we've really had to be attentive just to make sure the hosts are getting back, the guests are being taken care of. So we have a services team internally that helps us just to resolve if there are any issues, if there are any bugs or anything's going on, just to make sure that if the technology fails, we have kind of a backup plan in the short term. Longer term, obviously, we want to be more of a technology driven business, but I think in the early stages, kind of the complementing the technology with services can get you over some of the early bumps in the road.
So that being said, like what are the strategies you're going to work on for the from perspective of marketing, and what are the next 6 months milestones you're looking ahead?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, we're definitely trying to bring together this concept of the platform with the community, also with educational training programs, almost like master classes. What we're seeing right now is a lot of people want to become digital nomads, but they're not really sure how to get started, what they should do. So that's where we acquired, actually the company in Bali is a company we acquired at the end of last year as a specialist firm in online educational courses, mostly organic social media was their expertise. So we brought them on board to help launch educational programs, which we're launching at this moment. We want to bring on more and more coaches, but basically digital nomad coaches who are at the top of their field to help train other nomads. It could be someone wanting to become a virtual assistant, even maybe someone wants to learn how to do a handstand. I don't know. You got all sorts of types of coaches out there. So yeah, we want to bring in kind of the best of the best coaches. We also, with the platform, making sure the platform is complete in terms of being able to really handle all the kind of ins and outs of the technology, making payments, and you're dealing with that aspect of it, and then issuing the payments to the hosts. Our platform, we don't want it to be like super expensive. We want it to be affordable. So we're trying to keep the price points rather low for the customers, and we're going for more of a market share play. So I think where a lot of our competitors have gone after more of the premium digital nomads and charging a lot more. They should charge. We're really going after a much more aggressive point where we want to be like more high volume. Our business, for us to be successful, it's thousands and tens of thousands of customers, not hundreds of customers. So we're really trying to grow this to be a really, really big business. I'd say we're trying to get into 20 markets within the next couple of years, top 20 digital nomad markets, and really create a great brand in the top destinations for digital nomads. And then ideally just grow the business from there or get acquired or something.
So Dave, my question, just want to make sure my question for you is like, how do you understand that, how to price your product in a particular, at this stage? Because like you said, pricing should be affordable. At the same time, it can't be too pricey. So how do you understand, or how do you evaluate that pricing based on what the customer would be expecting? So what are the metrics do you follow to make this happen?
Yeah, well, I think for us, initially we haven't been charging anything. So the price has just been whatever the host wants to charge for the rental. So we just try to keep our pricing out of it to get started because we wanted to scale the platform and not have any issues. So we kind of kept it, we got to grease the wheels, I guess, in terms of just not inserting any sort of profitability for us. But as we go forward, we want to be, you kind of look at who's out there in the marketplaces, the AirBNBs, the Booking.coms, the VRBOs. You kind of get a sense of what they're charging. Obviously, you want to kind of stay in that ballpark or be more affordable, ideally, is our play. But yeah, it's not an exact science. At first, when we started the company, we came out too high on the pricing. And I would say generally, it's easier to go higher on pricing than it is to discount your pricing. So I think this time we're going to go out and just focus on market share, not as much on profitability, but really trying to drive like top line revenue is the main goal in the short term. It's a little .com from that perspective, although we don't have
basically this year. So basically this year will be, it's a year for branding and to get more, to let the community know about a product like this?
Yeah, exactly. We're really trying to get the product out there. Lisbon, we've had a lot of experience. So Lisbon will be the first market that we introduce the pricing. Every
Yes.
time we enter a new market, we're going to go in and offer the first 3 months. Basically, we're not going to have any, we're not going to charge anything, just as an easy entry into the market. Once we have the market established, then we'll start charging an additional fee on top of what the host makes. So just,
Okay.
kind of keeping it very simple, almost like a gym membership to some extent. So
Yeah.
when people sign up for us, it's basically a month to month kind of thing. They
Yeah.
get the housing, they get the accommodations, they get the community, and then access to these educational programs too. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling sort of thing. We're also in the process of doing a fundraising. So we're doing a crowdfunding raise starting in March through a company called Cedars out
Yeah.
of the UK, but it's an equity crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. So we want basically all of our customers, we want the community to have an investment in the business. So as we start to grow, they can grow with us as well.
But why
Especially
crowdfunding?
now. What's that?
Why crowdfunding?
We just feel like it's super important part of our mission. Our company, we're considered a public benefit corporation. So part of our mission is to give back to the community.
Yes.
Everyone in our company, all the employees are shareholders in the business. We're an employee-owned business. And then we want the community to also have an ownership interest in the business. So instead of having to raise through venture capitalists and some of these bigger guys, we want to kind of do it the other way, which we feel long-term it will be a much better, will help us create a much better business. And like you were saying, some of these nomads, maybe they want to get involved and help with some of the programming, or they want to get involved with some of the community events. But if they have an investment in the business too, then they're kind of, they're part owners in the company. So we want to kind of, you have this community of people that are not only an awesome community, but that's also like they have an ownership interest if they want to. And so, different than like Uber, where everyone's, the only guys getting rich are the guys at the top.
No, I just ask you because most people would be going for angel investment or seed. So it is a crowd based. So I just wanted to understand why crowdfunding strategy for your startup, and which is very clear, like it's a community driven. So it will be much more better if you go for crowdfunding.
Yeah. And I've also, to date, I've had a couple exits myself. So I've been financing the business to date. So I'm kind of like the angel investor plus the CEO and founder of the business. And so I've kind of been funding it to this stage. The next stage is, well, let's get the crowd to help complement my investments. And then, just kind of keep rolling with it from there.
Awesome. So like the main part of the this is the question I wanted to ask. So how was your experience at the Web Summit for 2019, and what are the plans for the next 2020 Web Summit, which is again in Lisbon? So what are the plans and how was the experience?
Yeah, I think the experience is really good. I mean, for us, we were one of the, they have like these, it's the beta companies where they'll feature certain companies and they'll give you booth space. So we had that this last year. Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, it's kind of like I call it like almost like a digital zoo because everyone there, they've got their phones, they're running around. It's such a big event. It's easy to get lost. So I think the key thing is like, if you're going to Web Summit, is really kind of go in with a plan. Maybe have some people that that are going, make sure you get the connection set up kind of ahead of time. Because when the event's going on, there's just like parties every night. So, people are staying up late. You have the show all day and it's so big, and tons of little dinners and different events that are going on too. So it's like by the end of the week, you feel like you need a vacation. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it's like
So, yeah,
70,000. 70,000 attendees were there for this event. So I can imagine what kind of event it will be. So are you planning to be part of the 2020 Web Summit as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're there in Lisbon. So yeah, we see the Web Summit as an awesome opportunity for us just to show off a little bit who we are. And then also we usually put on every year we put on a party. So we put on a closing party because the Web Summit closes Thursday night, I think at 9 o'clock. And then we put on a big party around 10 o'clock till about 4 in the morning at one of the big nightclubs. So we try and we also involve ourselves with the conference, but a little bit off conference without having to spend all the money on the sponsorships and everything.
And what was the biggest learning for you as a founder for NomadX, or from the past journey of more than 20 years of experience into entrepreneurship and startup? What was the biggest learning you had, and what was the biggest experience you had?
Yeah, I mean, I think that at the end of the day with these startups, you can't get too enamored with an idea, because I think you have to have a very flexible approach. Because the idea, you have to let it kind of mature and sort of evolve. And sometimes if
Yeah.
you're too stuck on an idea, a lot of times that initial idea, it's a good idea, but a lot of times if you let it mature a little bit over the next year or so, you typically, I find, like 12 months later, you usually have a really good idea of what the business is. So I think for me, it's like I've also always been sort of a bootstrapped entrepreneur, although with this startup, I've been putting my own money into it, but I've always worked for free and put my effort into the business.
I
So I think at
understand.
the end of the day, it's just really, applying yourself. And then when you get kind of your back up against the wall and you feel like nothing's going to work out for you, I think there's always one move. You know what I mean? It's like playing in chess where there's, maybe there's not always a move, but generally there's always a move. So
Yeah.
I think, even when you feel like your back's against the wall, I mean, I think like sometimes that's when the magic really happens. Because in all my startups, it's always been, we've had some success and then the business has had some failures, and then we almost had to do a restart. And I think when the restart happens, that's really when the magic happens. So
Yeah.
we've gone through that again with this company. And I think, yeah, sometimes just feeling a little bit of pain and desperation, sometimes, I think as humans, we'll evolve we evolve pretty quickly. So I think if we're put in a bad situation, generally we'll figure our way out of it.
No, no.
So,
I believe like you have evolved in a very amazing fast pace from 1998 to 2020, because the recent trends and reason all the technology has been changed what was in 1998 and now. So what do you think about these changes? Is it a good change you can find, or is it like a very competitive change you find right now?
yeah, I mean, I think it's really good. I mean, the thing about it is it really allows anyone to be an entrepreneur. I think even
Okay.
when building technology companies. So back in the day, it was a lot more expensive to do a startup. You had all of the servers and blah, blah, blah. And the way they built technology was so much different. I
Yeah.
think now, yeah, everything is just very, very remote, and
Yeah.
you can really live and work from anywhere. That's kind of what our business is all about. So we really see our business as a continuation of this life cycle of this journey of being in
Yeah.
the digital industry. Is like, okay, well, now you don't have to go to the office. You don't have to work out of your home. You don't have to work out of a co-work space. You can really live and work from anywhere. So we feel like that offers a lot of freedom to people, especially people that have their own businesses, have their own startups, and then being able to hire people all over the world,
Perfect.
that are talented and people that you like working with, and it can be a real global business versus just having something. Whereas before it was like just whoever's in your neighborhood or your backyard in your city that you could hire. I mean, now it's like, the world's your oyster, and so many people. It's competitive because there's so many people that can be startup entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of money out there, which is good. But yeah, I feel like there's never been a better time. I mean, I think back in the day, there wasn't as much competition, although there wasn't as much opportunity either, because there wasn't as much revenue. I
Yeah.
think in the early days, I think when I first got started, there might have been like a few $100 million in online advertising spent. So, or even when we first started working with Facebook, I think they had about 200 million in revenue. So, just trying to like have a little foresight too, and to kind of understand the history of the industry, where it's heading, and you got to make some bets, and try and stick to it too, and it brings some great people along with you. Because I think at the end of the day, if you have great people you really like working with, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. Because as long as you're having fun with it, you're learning something. Even if it's not successful, then you've gotten a lot out of it. Most
Yeah.
people never have a chance to have this entrepreneurial experience, and I feel like it's something, a unique experience to have at least once in your life. So I really encourage people to go out and give it a try, because I feel like it's it's a lot of fun. And
Exactly.
although
And
things have changed
asking
a lot, they haven't changed that much.
no, it's all an experience, like you said, it's all experience, and what you learn from it, what you do, then you learn from it. Exactly. So just wanted to ask you one final question. I don't want to take too much time of yours, but this would be probably the last question I want just to ask for this episode. What would be the best advice you want to give for the young entrepreneurs out there, or the young founders or trailblazers across the world right now? What would be probably the best advice you want to give to them?
Yeah, well, I think for the younger people, just to go out and have entrepreneurial experiences. So I think the more you have an entrepreneurial experience, the better you're going to be at entrepreneurship, like
Yeah.
anything really in life. So I think, yeah, if you're on the fence and you're like concerned and you're not sure if you should do it or not, I would say like you can start slowly. Just,
Yeah.
have some buddies you start working with, still keep
Yes.
your job, make sure you've got enough money in the bank,
Yeah.
don't quit your job until you really know you've got something. Because I think if you run out of money and you've got a great idea, then that
Yeah.
doesn't work very well. So like really you got to be kind of conservative with your funds. But I also think like make it fun. You know what I mean? Like pick a project you're really passionate about, work with people that you really like working with and you know a lot about, you know, and then also try and keep a little bit of a balance. You know, I think for me, it's like this industry is getting so fast paced. It's easy to like
Yes.
caught up and not go to the gym at all or not get any exercise.
Work-life
And then,
balance is really important.
yeah, find yourself at the bar, you know, or doing things you may not be as healthy.
I
So
think these days actually that actually gets a lot in it, a lot of people's attention. Even I follow a strict like a work-life balance. I work from Monday to Friday, and Saturday Sunday I'm strictly, I don't work. So I don't even pick a call. I don't do anything. I just spend my time with my friends or family, or my time playing football or something. So I think that's really important to also have a work-life balance as well.
yeah. So I think, yeah, it's easy to get off track, you know, as the business starts picking up, gets more
Yes.
stressful. The next thing you know, it's like, there's no one else to handle this stuff but yourself. And then you get sucked into it, you get out of shape, you know, it's like, it's difficult to get back on track. So I think just, yeah, trying to keep that balance, even in the rough times. But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I think like everyone should give it a try and like, you know, yeah, and you're just going to get better. So it's like,
Enjoy your life, basically.
yeah, exactly. Enjoy your life. So yeah, I've been
Yeah.
trying to do that. I really enjoy it. And I would try and also while you're an entrepreneur, I think the one thing is, yeah, take some time away from the business too. You know, sometimes it's good to get away for a couple of weeks and see
Okay.
what happens to the business when you return. So I think it's kind of like testing the business model. Ultimately, if the business can survive without you, then you've
Yeah.
created something really valuable. So I think a lot of people feel that their wealth in the business and they're so important, but really you want to be doing the opposite. You want the business to be able to function without you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the points like which I wanted to hear from you, because I was expecting this as a digital nomad. uh, Enjoy your life and balance your work. It's very important. Thank you, David. That was really great, sharing your experience, sharing your some strategy, sharing your startup milestones, what you're aiming ahead, what a community you're going to build, everything. So this is just a beginning, guys. Like Dave here has shared a very less experience from his startup experience, but there are a lot of stories going to come up, as well as he's going to also talk about how to live a digital nomad life as well. So these are a lot of topics I wanted to ask in this episode, but if I make it, it will be a big series, like maybe another 2 3 hours. I can keep on talking, but yeah, I can't make my audience sit for 3 hours and listen to. So keep an eye on the upcoming episodes, because me and Dave are going to discuss a lot of tips or a lot of strategies about how to be a digital nomad, how to maintain your work-life balance, or how to leverage the community and build a product out of the community, like what NomadX did. So they created a startup based on the experience what they had from their real life. So from his past digital nomad experiences, he has created the startup called NomadX. So that's what the story about NomadX. So it's very early at this stage right now to ask to him about what exactly, how was the user acquisition strategy, what was the pricing plans which failed and all. But he is going to be coming back again, maybe after 6 months. The whole Nomad X will be in some different stage, maybe in a growth stage or maybe in a 10x growth stage. We never know. So he will be back again with his story, with his experience, with us sharing more and more about Nomad X and about Digital Nomad as well. So thank you, Dave, for such a wonderful um, story you have shared with us, learning you have shared with us on this podcasting series.
Yeah, thanks for really appreciate it. Yeah, everyone should give the digital nomad lifestyle a try. Just head to
Exactly.
Portugal for a month. It's super fun there. You'll never want to come home.
So I will drop every information for Nomad X as well as Dave himself. I'll drop the LinkedIn URLs down below, his Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whichever social tags, so that you can reach out to him. You can talk about him, about Digital Nomad and Nomad X as well. He will be very happy to help you guys on this experience, because he's a very he was one of the best person when I reached out to him. He didn't say no He didn't ask too many questions as well, which made my things much easier. So thank you for that as well. So this is going to be the end of this episode, but we are going to come up with a lot of new episodes, a lot of new creative, innovative stories, strategies, challenges, hurdles, and a lot of new startup stories in this coming days and coming weeks. So stay tuned and please make sure to subscribe our the startup show presented by Ampliz. And if you haven't checked out what Ampliz is, please do also check that out. And my name is Varun. I'm signing off. And this is Dave Williams, the startup founder of NomadX, signing off with me on this call. So see you next time, Dave.
I'll see you later. Thank you so much, Varun.
Peace
Have a
out.
great.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
peace
much.
out. All right, ciao.